Hi, how's everybody doing today? This is Rich on behalf of Rich TV Live with our very special guest. It is Frank Candido, the Vice President of Corporate Communications for Delta Resources. How you doing today, Frank?
I'm good. Just as a side note, I'm also the chairman of the board of the company.
Yes, and the chairman of the board. So thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
And I know there's some news that you wanted to discuss while we're live. So let's go through it.
Yeah, today we were actually caught a bit by surprise from this news. I'll be honest with you. You hear that banging?
A little bit.
Okay, sorry, there's renovations going on in my house, so I apologize for that. We were a little bit caught by surprise because as you know, we've got our hands full in Quebec. We've got a tremendous property in Quebec of over 160 square kilometers with multiple targets in both, gold targets and VMS targets. And then, but we've always loved our Ontario property in Thunder Bay. And then, when we got these results, basically our hands are pretty full now because these results really indicate something special going on in Thunder Bay. So it's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. And can we go through these results in more detail?
Yeah, so these were till samples. So, we haven't wasted time. Just just to go back a little bit, on October 3rd, 2019, we acquired the Ontario property, which we called Delta-1, simply because it was the first property we acquired, not in terms of priority. Then on November 19th, we announced that we were going to drill that property, which is almost never heard of. You acquire a property and a month later you're drilling. It was a small campaign of 1,000 meters, but nonetheless, it was very quick. On Jan 8th, 2020, we announced the results of those of that drill campaign. And what we saw was that there was lots of gold in the system. So we knew that we were onto something. The other thing we saw and that we interpreted was that as we were going north towards the Trans-Canada Highway, it looked like the results were getting better. So we knew that this was trending north. So these till samples essentially were done on that northern part to really see what was going on. And the results are phenomenal. And what till samples basically tell you is two things. The amount of grains of gold, which in some cases we got, over 400, as you saw from today's press release, which is a very large amount. But more importantly, or as importantly, it was the quality of the gold grains. And when we say pristine, as we mentioned in the press release, for people that are not technical like myself, pristine doesn't mean that we shine them and etc. It means that the gold grains didn't travel very far, and that's very important because gold travels, right? Because it's light in nature and because of glaciation and that sort of thing. And so when you get that many, sort of 95% plus, that are in pristine condition, it means that the gold hasn't traveled very far, which suggests that we're really close to the source of gold. So for us, these are tremendous results. It confirms our interpretation, and it certainly means that we've got to go back to Ontario sooner than later to do the next phase of the program, which will be to do another but much larger till sample in that area. We'll cover a larger area, and then that will obviously be followed up with a drill campaign. So it's extremely exciting results for a company like ours.
Yes, guys, you guys can look at the Delta Resources news headline. Delta reports high gold grain count and till sample at Delta-1, Thunder Bay, Ontario. 8 of 23 samples returned over 41 gold grains, which is what you're referring to, accounting for 78 to 99%. That's impressive.
And remember, a couple of those samples had 200 plus gold grains and 400 plus gold grains. These are very large numbers. I mean, you go and compare them to other till samples that have been released by other companies, and you'll see it's pretty simple to compare. And the fact that a large percentage of them, extremely large percentage of them, were in pristine condition suggests to us that we're very close to that gold source. So we know there's gold there. Remember, this is a 17-kilometer structure in the Shibanda-1 gold belt. The Eureka gold occurrence is something that we were very interested in when we acquired this. And this only suggests that we're really getting much closer and closer to our target of a larger, more comprehensive drill campaign.
Yeah, this is great. Now, what do you think about the price of gold? It did some weird stuff over the last 24
Relevant.
hours.
Irrelevant.
Um,
Day-to-day fluctuations in gold are irrelevant. I'm looking at the larger macro picture, and I see gold going much higher. And the fact that that there'll be intraday swings or weekly swings is sort of irrelevant to me. I mean, the fact is we are in the midst of a gold bull market. That gold bull market will last for years. This is not going to
wow.
be short-lived months. And we've got a company with a fantastic share structure. Our chart looks great. We've got two phenomenal properties in two regions of Canada that you want to be in Quebec and Ontario. And our Quebec property, given that we've just discussed the Ontario property, let's go back to Quebec quickly. In Quebec, I mean, it's almost unheard of to have the amount of targets that we have. And high quality targets that we have in one area like that. And we happen to be lucky that we're in an area, Chibougamau, which is a very hot area right now, and lots of companies are there, but we happen to have one of the largest land packages out of anyone. And so what we're chasing there is extremely exciting for our shareholders. And we're getting closer and closer to announcing, what our plans are in terms of a significant drill campaign. Ultimately, drilling is really what drives stocks much higher, especially when you make new discoveries. And that's what we're looking at, new discoveries. These aren't old discoveries that we keep going back to and trying to reinterpret. This is completely new, and we're very excited. And we've got a lot of samples that we're still waiting on out of Quebec, as you know. We've got grab samples, we've got trench samples, we've got a lot that we're still waiting on. And the unfortunate part of entering into a bull market like we are is that the labs and the drills become more busy. A year ago, we would have sent, samples to the lab. We could have got them back maybe in a week and a half. Now it's taking more time because people are more busy, money's being raised, interest levels are much higher. It's a good problem to have. Again, so I'm not complaining, but certainly there's a lot of news flow to come out of Quebec. The news out of Ontario is tremendous, which, it just basically gives us much more work to do in terms of, which is, again, a very good problem to have. So I think, as a Golden Hope shareholder, we've got a lot to look forward to over the next couple of months. And certainly we've got a lot to look forward to when we do announce the drill campaigns in both Quebec and Ontario.
Now, it says here in the press release from Andre, the president and CEO, that Delta will be returning to the Delta-1 property in September to follow up and to initiate a property scale till survey.
Right. So Andre and Michel, our VP Exploration, which are the two key elements to our company, certainly much more key than I am. They're both in Chibougamau in Quebec right now at the property. Actually, they've been there for over a week. They'll be there for quite some time still. So the guys have been very busy on working there. As you know, we've been doing these trenches, which we exposed 3 trenches on the gold, and now we're exposing trenches on the VMS targets. And by the way, all this work that we do, it's important to understand. We could drill those properties immediately if we wanted to. The work that we do is to really try to get a better handle on prioritizing where we want to drill first, because it's key to try to hit or be successful with the drill bit right out of the gate. Because, it's just human nature. Let's just say we drill a couple of holes and we miss. Doesn't mean that there's nothing there. It could just mean that we're off by a few meters. So all this work that we're doing is to increase the probability of A, prioritizing our targets of where we want to drill, but B, by hitting when we do drill. And so this is why it's just a prudent way of approaching it. I know that, there's always pressure to drill. That's what people want to see. But at the end of the day, we'd rather go the more conservative route and do everything possible to extract as much information as possible prior to getting that drill going. And that's what we're doing. And for us, it's working out tremendously, because not only is it confirming many of those targets, but it's actually honing in on the areas that we really want to focus on in terms of that drill bit. So, so that's what it's very important to know that. So once they're completed there, the idea is to return back to Thunder Bay quickly, and to do a much more comprehensive campaign, a same till campaign, to cover a much wider area. And that will be mapped out, and then that will be done, and then shortly thereafter we should have those results again. So and that's it. But we really are approaching drill campaigns in both Quebec and Ontario over the next short while.
Now, we've had a couple of people ask, what is the symbol? The symbol in America is GOLHF.
By the way, that symbol will change shortly. We've already put in a request to have that symbol changed to better reflect the name of Delta Resources. So obviously it will start with a D rather than a G, but we'll keep you posted on that. But GOLHF is certainly our symbol on the OTC as it currently stands.
And the symbol in Canada is DLTA, and the symbol in Frankfurt, Germany is 6G01. That is the symbol in Frankfurt, Germany. So those are the three major exchanges that Delta is currently trading on. We also have a question. When does Delta plan to begin drilling at its Delta-2 property? Do you have those answers, Frank?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, we're just completing the phase 2 of our campaign, exploration campaign, as we're doing now. And once that's completed, then we will announce a comprehensive drill campaign. So just keep posted; it's coming shortly.
Now, obviously, drilling and it can be very expensive. One of the reasons why gold for a while didn't have the luster that it has right now was because it can be very expensive to go drilling. And like you said, when you find drill results, stock can do really well, companies can do really well. But consequently, if you're putting drills in the ground and you're not pulling out gold, it can become very expensive. Isn't that really what separates the great mining companies from everybody else, is kind of maximizing every single drill and making sure that you're going to be putting that drill in the right place in the ground? Too many companies in the mining sector in the past were just putting holes in the ground and just burning money, right? Would you agree with me there?
That's why I said what I said earlier. That's why we're doing the work that we're doing. So the reason why we did phase 1 and phase 2 of this campaign, listen, as I said earlier, we acquired Ontario in October. We started drilling in November and had results in January. I mean, that's unheard of. Now, that property was drill ready, and Quebec, we could have started drilling already as well. But we've decided to take a much more conservative route, which is to do all the work possible so that we can prioritize and really focus on where we want to drill. And in terms of drilling in Quebec, I got to tell you, that's the other thing that we're very lucky with being in Quebec. As you may know, Quebec is probably one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. But furthermore, what's very important is every dollar we spend in Quebec, we get about 40 to 43 cents back from the government on that dollar spent. So a dollar is really worth about $1.40, $1.43, which it takes your dollar a lot further in Quebec than it does anywhere else in Canada or anywhere else in the world for that matter. So for that reason, Quebec's a great place to be drilling. Drilling is expensive, but Quebec certainly is probably one of the cheapest places to drill, not only because of the tax incentives, but also in terms of net cost for drilling. And the fact that we're not in some remote area, we have road access, etc. Ontario, we're right near the Trans-Canada Highway. We're not talking about helicoptering in drills and this type of stuff. So again, we're really well set up to maximize the costs of drilling. So we've got everything going for us. All we need to do now is to prove that we can make these discoveries, which we believe we will, and then the stock will certainly reflect that after we've done that.
Now, you said that we're going to go into this epic bull market. We've already been in a bull market for well over a year now for gold, and I know a lot of gold enthusiasts really believe this is just the beginning. What does that mean for the company? Like, if the price of gold has jumped this much, what does that mean for the company's balance sheet? That's got to be great, right?
Well,
If the price of gold stays at 2,000, this is going to be incredible for all these companies when they start reporting earnings and they start pulling gold out of the ground.
Well, this is my second go around at this. I participated in the last bull market, and I remember 2006 when gold was starting to make its move. And I remember what the environment was like in 07, 08, 09, 10, 11. And then 11, that's when we started to fall off and we went in bear territory, and then we stayed in a bear market since. And let me tell you, what it means is a number of things. And more important than just a bull market in gold, it's the sentiment in investing in junior exploration companies. That sentiment has returned. So for me, yes, we've been in a bull market for gold, but we've only begun the bull market in junior exploration in the last few months. Up until then, we were still not in a bull market for junior exploration. So what does it mean? It means that there's better access to capital. It means that you can possibly get that capital at better valuations, which means less dilution for the shareholders. It means that when you do put out results and they're good results, that more people are paying attention. It means that the majors are out shopping, looking for good exploration projects because they're not in the exploration game, they're in the acquisition game. It means all of the above. So you want to be in that market when you're doing the work you're doing. And we happen to be in a fantastic situation in the sense that we've got two amazing properties in the two best jurisdictions in Canada, and both with a focus on gold, and one also with a focus on VMS, which, by the way, is gold, silver, which is also in a big bull market, copper and zinc. So we're really well set up to take full advantage of this.
If there was one thing you wanted shareholders to remember about this interview today, what would it be?
Simple. We've got an amazing share structure. We're still trading cheap in terms of the opportunity that lies ahead for us. We've got so many targets in Quebec that we really believe that we're going to hit at least on one target, but we've got the potential to hit on multiple targets. Forward-looking statement, obviously. There's no guarantee, but we really believe that we've got the bull by the horns here. And now with the results in Ontario, we think that we've got something fantastic in both Ontario and Quebec. So the opportunity to invest in Delta Resources right now is tremendous.
And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, an investor, potential joint venture partner, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Either by telephone or by email. fcandido@deltaresources.ca or 514-969-5530.
That's great. Now, guys, remember, Rich TV Live is strictly for education and entertainment purposes. We are not financial advisors. Always do your due diligence. Always do your research before you invest in anything that we discuss and talk about here on Rich TV Live. We are big fans of Delta Resources. Our community has already done extremely well with this security, and I believe this is still a very early story. Thank you, Frank, for coming here and breaking the news with us today. I really appreciate your time. I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors. And hopefully, as you guys continue to evolve and you have big news, big drill results, you can use the Rich TV Live community as a place to bring the news and let the people know what's happening with the company.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you so much for your time. Frank, the chairman of the board for Delta Resources, Frank Candido. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody take a look at Delta Resources. The big news today, it's starting to circulate, and everybody have yourselves a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks.